So we needed to pray. And I think that he wanted us to get into a trance, because he said, everyone, do not use your local lingo, but I want you to speak in the tongues, any tongue that is going to come in your thoughts, that is the tongue that you are supposed to be speaking in. Then we started praying. Brother Nashi, and he said, imagine that you are the army that is going to come and rescue the body of this deceased woman. We prayed, and I think that the more that we were imagining as if we were involved in this battle with the devil, that was when we started to get into that trance. We got into that trance. That was when the cars pulled into the churchyard and the coffin was removed. The gates to the church on that day, they were locked. No one was allowed in and no one was allowed to get out of the church. My brother, we started to sing praises and we started to rejoice when that coffin entered into the church building, because the prophet said, finally, today the devil is going to be defeated. And as the piano was being played, that keyboard, that person who was playing the piano made sure that he played those notes that can make you to cry. They are these deep emotional notes that they play. These people who work for these pastors who operate the pianos and the keyboards, they know how to manipulate your emotions using the keyboard. The keys that they were playing, they were quite sad, and I started to cry and I started to rejoice. Then the coffin was brought on a stretcher and it was brought to the altar. Then he started to pray. He prayed, Brother Nashi. He threw himself to the ground, claiming that he was calling upon God's power to raise the woman from the dead. After a few minutes of dramatic performance, the woman suddenly came back to life. She started banging from the inside. She kept on banging her own coffin. And then that was when the pastor said, "It is done. Oh yes, it is done." Then we started to celebrate. We celebrated, my brother. The congregation was in a way cheering and crying, believing that they had just witnessed a genuine miracle. However, the truth was that this woman was never actually dead, and the whole event had been carefully planned, my brother. This was some of the few fake miracles that he was using. And this man, the reason as to why he was able to get away with all of these things, it was because we were not clearly studying the Bible. And after I had left his church, after he had threatened me, and when I left his church, my mom got so sick. You could actually feel sorry for my mom. I was contacted by this other journalist who told me that he had been tracking me down, and this is what he does. He goes around speaking with the victims of these so-called fake pastors. He said that it is just that he is not given that platform to actually reveal all of his studies and finding. And he was saying that some of the things that he had heard about these fake pastors, they are quite scary. Just that these pastors, they are wealthy and they are connected to some of the billionaires in this country, because most of our billionaires, they love rituals. So they know that these pastors are not pastors at all. Whenever they go to be prayed for by these pastors, they know that the pastors are using their charms to have them healed, and they do not care at all. So they do not want to see these pastors being disturbed by nobodies like me. So he was just giving me sort of like a warning. And after I had spoken with him, my brother, the way that my mom became so ill, I got so scared. I spoke with him and I asked for his advice, and he said, "I think that it is a good idea for you to let this thing die down for a little bit," because from what he told me, he said that some of his victims had lost the entire family when they had tried to go against these pastors, because these pastors, they are connected to very powerful healers, your voodoo priests. Some of them, they travel as far as Ghana, going to those voodoo priests so that they can get some of their herbs and charms. So he told me to at least let this thing die down. When the pastor would have forgotten about me, then I will try to give him my own story. My story, it is quite long, my brother. I saw a lot of stuff happening in this church. Number one, public humiliation. Number two, fear-mongering. Number three, labeling them as divisive, accusing them. Number four, of lack of faith. Whenever you see that your life is not going according to plan, if he says that by month end, I want you guys to buy a brand new car for me, if you fail to bring the money that the ushers will tell you to bring, then they will tell you that you have lack of faith. Anyone who questions his teachings or a miracle lacked faith, implying that they were not spiritual enough. Number five, isolation. You would isolate individuals who had Bible knowledge. Oh no, you would say that if you see those people that love quoting Bible verses, know that there are some demons that are actually influencing them, because we work with faith here. We do not quote these Bible verses like Pharisees and Sadducees, because those were the demonic powers that used to fight with Jesus Christ when he was still alive, because they thought that they knew the Old Testament more than Jesus Christ knew. So you would say that if you love to read the Bible a lot, it means that there is a demon in you that has to be casted out. And sometimes you would discredit your character. You would spread rumors or make false accusations about their character, damaging their reputation and credibility using his charisma. He would use his charisma and charm to persuade others and that he was true authority, and those who questioned him were misguided. He was the only one who was always right. By using these tactics, he effectively silenced those who had Bible knowledge, maintaining control over his followers and his reputation. I remember the night that I escaped like it was yesterday. My heart was racing and my mind was foggy. I kept on telling myself that I do not want to be here anymore. I had been planning this moment for what felt like an eternity, waiting for the perfect opportunity to flee. I packed a small bag, trying to be as quiet as possible, my hands shaking as I grabbed a few of my personal belongings. I didn't even dare to look back, fearing what I might see. I slipped out of the compound, and as I ran, the only sound was the pounding of my feet on the ground. I didn't dare look back, fearing what I might see. I kept my eyes fixed on the horizon, my heart pounding in my chest. I felt like I was running for my life, and in many ways, indeed, I was. I had finally found courage to break free from the oppressive grip of self-proclaimed prophet, leaving behind the trauma and manipulation that I had endured for so long. With each and every step, indeed, I felt a sense of liberation washing over me, like a weight was lifting off from my shoulders. I didn't know what lay ahead, but I was determined to create a new life, one free from the shackles of fear and control. I ran towards the unknown, my spirit soaring with hope and resilience. I was finally taking back control of my life, and nothing was going to stop. Years after that, my brother, that was when I spoke with that journalist, and he told me everything that he had experienced over the years because of these fake Nigerian pastors. He said that he was supposed to become one of the most popular journalists here in our country, in our state, but because he refused from some money from who, a very powerful prophet, after he had refused to write an article about this other man of God who was an evangelist. At that time, he said that this man, when he was still alive, he was the one who was preaching the true word of God. Then there was this other so-called man of God, which we know by his name, a very popular one. He was told that the prophet wanted to see him. He went and he spoke with the prophet, but the prophet did not speak with him. He just pushed a brown envelope that was full of US dollars. As they were sitting, this prophet waited for this journalist to pick up the cash and to write a damaging article about this man of God who was a true man of God. They had planted, those beautiful women, now we call them your slay queens. They had planted one in the church. So what they wanted was this woman to give a false testimony, as if this pastor, the true pastor, had actually raped her. Then the article will be produced and it was all going to be fake. But that journalist said that he could not do it. He was threatened with death. He was told that eventually he was going to lose his own life. And when he kept on living his life, refusing totally to give in, that was when he was fired from his post. From there on, my brother, this man has been struggling and they are still after his life. The reason as to why he can't produce his book that he said that he wants to write, it was because he was approached by two unknown men who told him that if he dares to do that, then he is going to lose his life, or they are going to lock him up for life if he dares to mention the name of the most powerful prophets that have ever came out of Nigeria. Today, I am living a life that's full of purpose and joy. I have found a community that loves and accepts me for who I am without condition. I have discovered my passion and what interests me. Yes, I am poor, but I am happy that I came out of this church. This is my own story, Brother Nashi. Yo, dear listeners, right there was a message that was sent to me by our dear sister. Strange things do happen in this world. Yo.